Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live today. Come on in. We are so excited that you guys are here. We have a very special guest with us this afternoon. Many of you know that earlier in the month of April, we had planned an event called Get Off the Fence and could not have that event because of the pandemic. And I said, it's no way that I am going to let these fantastic women get out without coming on and sharing their stories, the short version, with the ladies who are members of our Facebook page. We want to welcome all of you. We want to say hello to those of you in Facebook land and those of you on YouTube. We're so happy that you have joined us. When you come in, send us some hugs, some waves, some hearts. Let us know that you are here. And we are going to get started in just a few minutes. I am going to be introducing Miss Sonja Holt. And a lot of you probably already know her, but this is another opportunity to get to know her a little bit better. And for those of you who don't know her, you are certainly in for a treat. So I'm going to bring Miss Holt in. How are you?
Hey.
Hey. I see you also have gotten your Get Off the Fence t-shirt on there.
Yes, look at that.
Awesome, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, our t-shirts were designed by Miss Melody Dockett with Melody Designs. So we definitely want to give a shout out to her, and please stop by her
Yay,
Facebook page
Melody.
and see all of the wonderful things that she is doing out there. So, Sonia, I am going to introduce you to our people.
Okay.
And then we're going to chat a little bit. Sonja Hope lived in an abusive relationship, guys, for about 11 years, and she experienced a lot of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. After leaving, I spent 1.5 years in counseling and entered my journey to healing, working on myself to regain my self esteem, identity, and forgiveness. And forgiveness, that's a good one.
Mm,
I changed the conversations that I was having with myself about the abuse I endured. Out of my healing, scars was birth. In 2015, my abuser murdered his daughter and his mother. The trauma behind the ordeal reopened my wounds, and I entered back into counseling and a journey to re-heal. This time out of my healing was born a new sense of gratefulness and purpose. That is awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, today we're going to be talking about healing after the hurt. Sonia, welcome.
thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
So, tell our listeners a little bit about your situation.
Well, I guess I'll start backwards and
Okay.
to when um, I took my life back, which was June 24th, 2008, which is a day that will stay forever embedded in my memory.
Yes.
And so that's the day when I made the decision to leave that abusive relationship that I had been in for 11 years. And one thing I'll say is probably like so many other women, I was told by the women in my family to never let a man put his hands on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that always stayed embedded in my mind as well. But the one thing that I was never told or educated about was emotional abuse.
Right.
And probably about 6 months into this relationship, I met this gentleman when I was 20, and he was 27. He was an older guy, um, and he spoiled me.
Uh-huh.
I was already spoiled, and he just kind of fell right in line with spoiling me like I was already kind of accustomed to.
Right.
And um, but then some strange things started happening, and I didn't quite know what they were. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know that it was emotional abuse, being yelled at and being cursed at and being called names. Like I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't equate that with abusive behavior.
Mm.
And um, for a while, it just stayed that. There was never a hit or punch or a slap or a kick or anything, but
Mhm.
it was just a whole lot of weird stuff going on.
Mhm.
And about a year and a half into the relationship, is when I think the first act of physical abuse or violence happened, um, which was me being pushed down on the floor in the kitchen.
Right.
Um, and from there, things just progressively got worse.
Right.
And never did I ever say I was going to leave.
You
Uh,
never said you were gonna
I
leave?
never said that I was going to leave. I tried to put him out once, but
Uh-huh.
I let him back.
Okay.
Um, but never did I ever say that I was going to leave, because in the midst of all of that, my um, emotional state has started to go down. So my self
Mhm.
esteem has started to get low. And, with the things that I was being told by him, it just made me feel lower and lower.
What are some
And
of the things he would say to you? Because there may be some women who are listening and they may have heard some of the same things
mhm,
and not made the connection
mhm.
that it's abuse.
So there was, my ex was very manipulative. And like, I know he would call me stupid, which I knew I wasn't stupid.
Right.
Um, but he would manipulate and twist things that I would say. Um, I would, which is what I now know as gaslighting. But he had
Mhm.
me thinking that I was going crazy. He would
Mhm.
tell me things such as, like, this is one particular thing that still baffles me to this day. We lived together, and I remember he would tell me like I was saying other people's names in my sleep. And he
Oh,
would wake up in the morning being really mad. And I'm like, why are you mad? Like, we just woke up. Why are you mad?
right.
And he would tell me, well, who were you talking about? Who are you saying? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, you were saying somebody else's name in your sleep. I'm like,
Oh,
I don't
wow.
really believe that. Um, and like strange things would happen, like a pillow would be sitting on top of the bed
The
frame, the
headboard.
headboard. Yeah, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, how did that get there? And he had me think that I was sleepwalking in my sleep, that I was doing all of these strange things. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong with me? And
Mm.
he was telling me things like, well, if you didn't do, um, I remember one night he told me I burnt the chicken, and he went off on me because the chicken wasn't cooked the way that he wanted to be cooked.
Uh-huh.
And he told me, well, if you would have fixed your chicken right, I wouldn't have to act like this. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
okay. Um, but he would blame me for his behavior. He would
Gotcha.
blame me for how he acted towards me.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I'm trying to do everything that I can to make sure that I don't do anything to set him off, basically.
Exactly.
Um, but it never seemed to work, because no matter what it is that I said or did, he was going to act however he was going to act regardless.
Yes.
Um, but there was a lot of mind games and just blaming me for his behavior and
Mhm.
diminishing the things that he did do, um, after the first time that I had the first bruise from him, which he head butted me in my forehead
Wow.
and split my forehead open. And when that happened, he apologized profusely, but then
Mhm.
flipped it around on me
Mhm.
and told me that
You hadn't done such and such.
he wouldn't have had to do that.
Yeah.
And so it just became this kind of never ending cycle of just dysfunction. We sometimes things were great, and when things were great, they were great. But it
Right.
didn't last very long, because then we'd enter right back into this perpetual cycle.
So
Um,
is the abuse like every day?
it
Is
wasn't every day. The physical abuse wasn't every day. The
Mhm.
emotional piece could be every day, but the physical, in the beginning, it might have only happened once every couple of months, and then the time span got shorter and shorter. So it went from once every couple of months to once a month to now we're down to once a week,
Mhm.
as in this 11-year time span.
Right.
So yeah, the time span got shorter and shorter.
Mhm.
It then became more commonplace, and the excuses and the I'm sorries, they went away. It just became that it's now your fault, and
Right.
why do you keep doing these things, and why do you keep making me act this way?
Yeah. And
And
so many women are going through this. Folks, as you all come on, this is a very, very important topic. And please go ahead and hit the share button because there's so many women out there experiencing this, and some may not even know what it is.
mhm,
Um, Sonia, we were talking a little bit earlier, and because we are in a pandemic, so many women, there's nowhere for you to go.
it's
We
nowhere.
all have stay at home orders. And so the abuse right now is rising. I
Yeah,
mean, I was looking at some data, and it seems that it's rising 40 to 50% since we've been in the pandemic. Can you speak to that a little bit?
yeah. And you were exactly right. It's rising, but there's nowhere for people to go. And I sit on the board actually, for the Chesterfield Domestic Violence Task Force, and
Oops,
I
I didn't want to do that.
I asked, at our meeting last week. I asked about the calls coming in to the hotlines, and
Hmm.
believe it or not, the calls are actually going down right now.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that after all this is over, they're going to go up, particularly because people don't have anywhere to go and they're at home with their abuser. So they're less likely to be able to go somewhere to talk on the phone, or to go into another room, or to go out of the house. Maybe they're not going to work, which for a lot of victims, being at work is their place of solace, is their place
Yeah.
where they can escape. But if you don't have that and you're at home 24/7 with this person who is abusing you in whatever shape or form that might look like, it is a whole lot harder to be able to escape that.
Hmm.
But the help is out there, but people just may not be able to access it at this time.
Right.
But there are things that people can do. So if there's anyone that's listening right now who is experiencing abuse, try to keep your situation or your life as normal as you can. Okay, some sort of normalcy. Try to make space, or have boundaries between you and this person. If you cannot be up under them all of the time and you can go into another room just to have a little bit of time to yourself, do so. Okay. Still
Mhm.
talk to people. If you're able to talk on the phone or to Skype with a friend, that way you can at least have another person to talk to and have some encouragement and some support from another person. Do
Mhm.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
As much as you can.
Right.
So,
That's really that's really good advice. In my research, I also found that those women who are age 24 and under, suffer from the highest rape rates during domestic violence.
mhm.
Younger women. So, and I guess that they could be high school age young ladies that are going
Mhm.
through this, and they really need to share this information with their parents, with someone.
Absolutely. There are so many, between middle school and high school, teenagers experience domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assaults. But many of them, and even if they are assaulted, they don't equate that with abuse, the same way as I said that I didn't equate it because I wasn't taught that. But they are being abused. They're being abused by their boyfriends, girlfriends.
Hmm.
And one of the clear signs, um, to tell if someone, or a red flag to tell if someone is being abused, whether it's a child or an adult, is if that person becomes overly possessive or jealous, maybe calling that person, over and over and over again, or leaving them messages, numerous messages if they don't answer the phone. questioning where they are. How come you're not with me? I don't want you to be with anyone else. I just want you to be with me. You don't need your friends. They're not your friends. And that is a form of isolation, to get that person away from their support system, to
Mm-hmm.
just be with that particular person, or with that perpetrator. So there are things to look out for, and if we understand the red flags, we can prevent ourselves from getting into situations.
Right. And one of my things is, I'm very big. I've been very interested in, and I dig into mindsets, why people,
Hmm.
why that's happening. As a woman who was abused, and especially during the times when they are trying to isolate you from your friends and your family,
Hmm.
that I can see maybe the isolation with friends, but when we're talking about taking you away from your family, your support system, what is going through your mind when you, or do you really notice that that's really happening when it's happening?
Nope. It's done so. It's systematic,
Uh-huh.
and it's done so smoothly that
Okay.
you don't realize it. Because one thing about domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior. So it's not just one particular that one particular thing that happens one particular time. It's
Right.
all these different things that happen over a period of time, and isolating from the support system is one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't realize that I was being isolated, because there's that fear factor that's attached to it. So if I know, for me, eh, I knew that if I left before my ex got home, and didn't, instead of me waiting for him to go to Thanksgiving dinner with my family,
Mm-hmm.
I would wait for him to get home so that I wouldn't get yelled at by him.
Right.
So I was 2 and 3 hours late going to Thanksgiving dinner, which I was usually the first one there because I'd help set up. But now
Yeah.
I'm super late getting there because I don't want to get yelled at by this person. So, and to save myself from all of that, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to wait. No, I'm not going to go over my favorite cousin's house, because now he thinks that my this person that I love says that, oh, you don't need to be with them because they're bad and they're doing bad things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's, once again, it's just another way for me to stay away from that part of the family,
Exactly.
because I want you here.
Exactly.
Because they're going to ask questions,
Right.
right?
Right.
They're going to
Right.
ask questions. So
So let me ask you this. You said in your bio that your ex murdered his mother and his daughter.
his 1 year old daughter and her mother, the baby's mother.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the baby's mother.
Wow. And was this during the time that you were with him or after?
This was after. So this
After.
happened. This happened 5 years ago.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And so these types of abusive behaviors can certainly escalate to something that's just out of your thought that this
absolutely,
really happened.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
for me, it was one of those things that, like, I mean, I've been, threatened with a gun by him. I've been shot at by him, and all of that. Um, and but never, I guess, in my mind, I didn't think that you really go through with it.
Hmm.
So when that did happen, it for me, like, it reopened everything for me. It
Right.
took me all the way back to when I was in
Because
that
you were
space.
probably thinking then it could have been you.
It could have been me. It could have been me.
Yeah.
Very grateful that
Yeah.
I was able to get out. Um, and again, it brought on just this new sense of just thankfulness, and
Hmm.
gratefulness, and a new sense of purpose,
Hmm.
for me after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit before we move on, just a little bit about the forgiveness part.
Mm. Whew.
Yeah.
Well,
And I guess the biggest person you had to forgive was the one you look at in the mirror.
absolutely. That's the first one I had to forgive.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that was hard. And I had to learn how to forgive myself. and to forgive myself for just allowing myself to be in that for all of those years and for not recognizing 6 months into that original relationship what those things were that I was seeing or that I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I had to forgive myself, to start letting that go, and to start my healing process. And before I could do that, and then eventually I had to work on forgiving him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that took a while. That was not an overnight thing.
I
It,
bet.
it
I
took a
bet.
minute. But eventually I was able to do it. It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was working on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was finally able to do it and to really release it and to
Right.
really say, I truly forgive him. And I meant it when I said it.
Mm-hmm.
And, so when I saw him, I, after many years, I didn't have that funny feeling in the pit of my stomach anymore. It was gone.
Right.
And then I knew, okay, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. I got this.
Good. Well,
Got
I
this.
am so glad that you're good.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry that you had to go through what you went through, but you have turned that thing around to be a blessing
Hmm.
to other women. And you could tell us a little bit now about scars. Scars
Yeah.
came out of this adversity.
Scars came out of the mess. It was, yeah, it was birth. And um, it was all of God and none of me,
Mhm.
because He did it. And so He spoke the word scars to me one day, and it turned into this organization. And that wasn't my plan. My plan was just to have a large domestic violence awareness event in the city of Richmond. That's all I wanted to do. And he said otherwise. But it turned into Second Chance at Renewing Self. And so through SCARS, we provide aftercare services for domestic violence survivors, as well as education and advocacy. And actually, we advocate on more than just domestic violence. Because we realize that domestic violence is intersectional with so many other issues, such
Mhm.
as mental health and gun violence and reproductive rights.
Okay.
So those are actually a couple of the other causes that we partner with as well. But we really want to bring awareness to domestic violence so that others, we want to prevent it. And
Mhm.
so anything that we can do so that people do not get into abusive relationships, that we can deter people, or if they're in it, that they can recognize it and hopefully take action, because we want to eliminate this as much as we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you all doing? I know that you all have some events or something going on for support systems.
Yeah, so we have the support group, which used to meet in person, but with the times right now, we've moved that online. So it's now a virtual support group, and it's called Empowered. We meet every second and fourth Monday. It's confidential, um, and so if anyone is interested in that, they can reach out or they can go to the SCARS website. I think it's scrolling at the bottom there.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
you can go to the SCARS website and reach out. But it's really just a space for survivors to be empowered, to be amongst like minded individuals, and to get the help and support that they need so that they can move through their healing process and live the best life that they can.
Mhm. So when they attend this empowerment of the support group, is it one on one with you?
It's not one on one, so it's not a coaching, it's a group.
Okay.
Um, and really just depends on how many people are in the group.
Okay.
I have had one-on-one coaching sessions, but yeah, it is in a group setting, so you get to gain that support from others and hear and share experiences and be amongst others. Yeah.
Right. And I
Mhm.
certainly want to encourage women to do that. I know what goes on in the group stays in the group kind of
Absolutely,
situation. Um,
absolutely.
but it is so important to have a support group. It's important to be with women who have gone through what you've gone through because they really understand it. And I would just encourage you to definitely link up with this group. It's on Facebook, and we'll run those the Facebook again. But Scars is running across the screen, so you can definitely get in touch with them there. So that is awesome. And then there's one other little thing I want to talk about here, and that is your Holt Development and Leadership Institute.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So, Code Development and Leadership Institute is a way that I do coaching and leadership development. I'm very big on personal development because that is something that helped me through
Mhm.
and that changed my mindset.
Okay.
So,
Buzzword, buzzword.
yes, Lord, yes. I want to be able to help develop other people, and particularly small business owners, entrepreneurs, and really just anyone who is looking to break those things or break those chains that are holding them back from living a fulfilling or productive life.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And so that's what we do at the Leadership Institute, whether it's through a workshop or individual coaching or speaking engagements. We want to be able to just help people live their best life
Right,
and just break through those barriers. So that's
right.
what we do at the Institute.
Right. Well, awesome. That is awesome. I'm going to check and see if you guys have any questions or anything, you've got the woman right here who can answer those questions. So feel free to, if you want to put a question in the chat, I'll relay that message to Sonia, and we won't use your name or anything like that. But if you have any questions, now's a great time to do it. She also has Facebook page and website, so you can definitely get in touch with her through those mediums as well. But we have really enjoyed having you today
Wonderful.
to share a little bit of your journey on a topic that is also important. And especially now that we're all in the house right now and movement is very limited. If anyone out there is experiencing anything that um, you know is not right, you're uncomfortable about it, you have an inkling that this may be going on, please reach out and get some help. Please
Please.
do that. So,
Absolutely.
do you have any last words that you would like to share with our listeners?
Um, Let's see. I will just say two things, and I love to end by saying this. So,
Okay,
number one is if you see something, say something. And number two is please do, because the life that you save just might be your own.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We have enjoyed talking to you, and we look forward to all the great things that you are going to be doing in
Thank
the future. We don't know what the new normal is going to look
you.
like.
Mhm. I'm looking
Uh,
forward to it, whatever it is, though.
yeah, we will get through it. And Sonia's always there. So whatever we're going through, reach out and get some help if you need it. Thank
Absolutely.
you again for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.